Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining us. I see about 70 of you out there. My name's Stephen. I'm with the Flint, Genesee Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for joining us. We wanted to make sure and get the most current information for you on the SBA and MI-SBDC programs that you've probably heard a lot about. This morning we have Tyler Rossmaessler. He's our Director of Economic Development, and Janis Mueller, Regional Director for the Michigan Small Business Development Center. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Tyler Rossmaessler.
Thanks, Stephen. Hopefully you can see me. Everyone out there, thanks for joining us today. Like Stephen said, my name is Tyler Rossmaessler. I'm the Director of Economic Development. I'm joined today by Janis Mueller. Unfortunately, due to some technical difficulties on the Chamber's end, Janis can't join us via web, but she is here on the phone. Janis, why don't you say hi to everyone?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me and looking forward to doing the work with you.
Hey, thanks, Janis. Today, what I'm hoping you get out of the meeting is an overview. The purpose of today's meeting is an overview of opportunities for small businesses to get access to capital. We know that's a really important need right now as we're navigating and hopefully one day are beginning to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, we're going to go over two programs. So I'm hoping that at the end of this webinar, you will come out with an understanding of an available state grant program and an understanding of the U.S. Small Business Administration's Working Capital Loan Program. So with that, we're going to get started. We're going to start with the state program. The Michigan Small Business Relief Program. This was announced Thursday last week. You may have seen it. $20 million available to state small businesses, the state of Michigan. Those businesses that were negatively impacted by the COVID-19. The $20 million was then split into two, a grant side and a loan side. This is a little bit, because it was announced on Thursday and this is such a fast moving thing, we are building the plane and flying it at the same time. So the state has only been really focused on the grant side of it. The loan program and the loan specifications will be coming out shortly. But today I want to talk about the grants that will be available. First thing is $10 million. They want to make approximately 1,100 grants across the state. The maximum grant will be $10,000 and most will be below $10,000. It is a grant, and funds are intended to be available on or about April 1st. So that's a fast-moving project, and we've got a lot of work to do to make that April 1st happen. Real quick, the process is that once we have an application form from the state of Michigan, we will be promoting that. The chamber will be emailing it out. We'll be putting it on our social media. We'll be attaching it, obviously, to the discussion of this recording. But we do not have that application yet as of today. It's 10 a.m. on Monday. But soon that will be available. I'm hoping by close of business today, and we will get that out to you. About the grants qualifications, you have to be a business with 50 employees or less. Real quick, I forgot to mention at the top of the presentation that we'll be taking questions at the end of this meeting. And so if you have any questions, please type them in the question and answer portion of the meeting, and I'll do my best to answer whatever we can. And if we can't answer any questions, we'll get back to you. And then Janis also will be helping us with questions. So back to the grant program. Qualifications, 50 employees or less. You need to have a need for working capital, and working capital is the money you use to pay your rent, your payroll, your utility bills. You have to be an industry affected or affected by the governor's executive order 2029. Or
Tyler, can I interrupt? There is a new one out.
Yes, yeah. I'm going to get to that.
Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
Absolutely. Yeah, no problem. Thank you for piping in. Executive Order 2029 or any subsequent executive order, what Janis was just alluding to. 2029 shut down bars, restaurants, pubs. I think this weekend it was 2019 that shut down tattoo parlors, salons, etc. Any industry affected by the first executive order or any subsequent order, like the one that we saw this weekend. Also, there's an or there, or can demonstrate it was affected by COVID-19. So even if you weren't shut down by an executive order, but you can demonstrate that you are negatively affected by the pandemic, you also would be available. But just getting to the executive orders that have been issued and subsequently issued, this is the state's effort to help the companies that were affected by the governor's shutdowns. You also have, as a business, you also have to have provided support to impacted employees. So we're really trying to help minimize the effect that employees are feeling. And then they have this last provision of located in a downtown district or quote unquote high impact corridor. High impact corridor is an intentional vague description. Obviously, if you're in a downtown, that's going to meet the first portion of that. But the high impact corridor in Genesee County, places like maybe like a Mueller Road would be a high impact corridor. Maybe an exit off a freeway could be a high impact, or any other kind of commercial district in a town or city could be high impact corridor. So they left that intentionally vague so that we can make sure that the companies that need help are getting it. The process is pretty simple. It's fast moving. The business will have to complete a simple application. As I mentioned earlier, that application is not finalized yet, but we're hoping to have it by today. Once we get that, we will get that out to you. A regional panel, so decisions will be made on a regional basis. A regional panel will determine the grantees. What's going to happen is this week, we'll get that application out to you. By Friday or over the weekend, the applications will be due. And the chamber will get all the Genesee County applications together and present them to the regional panel. Then once there have been selections by the regional panel, the grantees, the businesses, will have to sign an agreement via DocuSign. And I just want to set the expectation that we're not going to be dealing in person or asking you to sign something on a in-person form. We are going to be using DocuSign. So if you have the ability to sign it via a computer with internet connection or a phone, DocuSign will be the tool. And then the funds will be transferred on or around April 1st. And this is not an April Fool's joke. I'm thinking that's one that could be inserted there. But that will be fast moving, and that's why the applications will be due sometime on or around Friday the 27th, so we can get those funds out by the 1st. There will be some reporting requirements. Again, back to the analogy that we're flying the plane while assembling it. We have not gotten clarity on what those reporting requirements are. So if you get one of these grants, the best advice I can give you as of today, Monday morning, is save all your receipts so that we can submit that back. And again, we'll take questions on that. So next, we're going to talk about the SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan. This is a loan. So the last program was a grant available to the state of Michigan small businesses. This is a federally backed loan program. A little bit about this loan, typical SBA disaster loan is like a hurricane comes through a town, or a flood, or a tornado, or an earthquake, and the SBA will come in with their loan programs to provide assistance to the businesses in that area so they can navigate through and recover from the disaster. Now, in this case, the disaster is the COVID-19, and that has officially been declared in Michigan. Michigan is in a disaster zone as a result of COVID-19. The nuance here is a lot of other states are too. And so obviously this loan does apply to the COVID-19 disaster. I just want to temper expectations a little bit that this loan was built to recover from a hurricane or a tornado or an earthquake in a localized area. Due to the large nature of this pandemic and this disaster across the country, I would expect limited SBA presence in Genesee County. There might be some, but that's why we're lucky to have Janis Mueller here, who is going to become an expert on this loan and works very closely with the SBA, and will be available. Her team and her will be available to help you through. So, going through here, quick facts about the loan. Working capital up to $25,000 does not require collateral. The loan program does allow loans up to $2 million, but anything more than $25,000 will require collateral. The current rate as of Thursday last week was 3.75%. The terms and length of the loan are flexible. There are some indications that this loan could go up to 30 years. So you're going to have a long period of time to pay back this loan. And Janis can get into the nuances about the deferrals in a moment. The loan comes directly from the SBA. The SBA 504 program or other programs like it usually require a third party of a business to act as an intermediary. This loan does not require that. This is a loan directly from the SBA. So the process is pretty simple. You'll go to disasterloan.sba.gov and you'll begin to fill out your application. A part of that application are a few things. One, you're going to have to fill out an application form, which is SBA Form 5. This is all online, but I want to just make sure you have the information. You'll have to fill out an application. Then you'll have to fill out an IRS form. You'll have to you'll have to provide copies of your income tax returns, and you'll have to show a personal financial statement, and then a schedule of liabilities and fixed assets. And one thing to keep in note about the SBA loan is that this is a loan like any other loan. It's going to require that your business is bankable. If your business is not bankable, it'll be very difficult to get an SBA loan. And so think of it like you're applying for any other loan, but with very flexible terms. Then once you submit your loan application online, the SBA will make a decision. They'll process the loan. Then they'll, after they make a decision known to you after a few weeks, and we'll see how that goes because of the nature of this pandemic across the country, the SBA and the business will close on the loan and the funds will be distributed. So that was a real quick high-level overview of the MEDC grant and the SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan, two programs that are available to you today. And we know that navigating the working capital needs of your business is an urgent need, so we wanted to get that out to you as soon as possible. So right now we're going to take questions and answers. Janis is on the line. I'm going to pull up the question the question form, what people have been submitting. So Janis, the first question we have here is the question is, what resources are available for self-employed home-based artisans to make their living selling handmade goods and pop-up events which no longer permitted to occur? So thanks for the question. The grant, if this is a business, that company, that self-employed home-based artisan, if they are running a business, they can apply for the MEDC grant. Janis, what would you say about the SBA loan?
As long as they are a business, if they're running it as a sole proprietor, they would fill out a Form 5C form, and all the other document requirements are the same.
Okay, great. Another question. We are a small business with just 2 owners running our company. However, our customers have stopped ordering, and we are concerned about paying our building mortgage, utility bills, and other hard expenses. Will we qualify without having several employees? Absolutely, you will qualify for the MEDC grant You have 2 owners, which is less than 50, and it is available. The one advice I would give you is pursue these loans and these grants. Absolutely, there is no harm, no foul without pursuing them. But also have a conversation with your bank. These banks know that these things are affecting all their customers. They're not in the business of trying to put you out of business. So if you have cash flow concerns, a good, easy way might be to go talk to your mortgage holder and your utility provider and see what programs they have to help you in the short term, and then also apply for the grants and the loans that we just discussed.
And with regard to that same question, you are eligible under the SBA loan. And again, we are asking you to look at the cash flow that you currently have and mitigate any cash going out. Not only are banks working with our clients, landlords are too, vendors, they're giving up to 3 to 6 months deferment, but you got to make those calls. Like any loan, you want to make sure you're taking it when you know what the needs are. The SBA loan program is open for applications through December 21st of 2020. This loan has a built-in deferment. A normal deferment is 4 months from the date that you sign to close on the loan. They have shifted that this morning as of 8 o'clock to a 12-month deferment. So you will not make a payment on an SBA emergency loan until a year from signing the closing documents.
Yeah, and that's the flexibility, and so that could really help if you're dealing with short-term capital needs. Okay, the next question is Raphael Donuts, which is located in Pontiac, Michigan. You may have remembered that does my count as a count for the state grant? He's asking as a donut shop, and it was canceled, and my company was closed. Even though I don't have a physical location, my company was closed because I cater events. And canceled because of the executive order. Do I qualify? Yes, you are negatively affected by the coronavirus pandemic, and so you would qualify for that grant.
As well as for the loan.
As well as for the SBA loan. Okay, next question. Do you have any assistance for businesses that do not have 50 employees? If you have less than 50 employees, you qualify for the grant, the state grant. If you have more than 50 employees, the state loan program, which is yet to be designed and yet to be announced, we do know that will qualify companies from 50 to 100. So if you have less than 100, you'll still qualify for the other side of the loan program from the state of Michigan. And then Janis, you could talk about that from SBA, employment.
SBA will take you if you have 1 employee or up to the size standards based on your industry classification. So pretty much a blanket rule is up to 500 employees would still be considered small business.
500, So 500.
There are
500
criteria we need to follow.
Yeah, great point. So you are a small business considered by the federal government generally if you have 500 or less. Some industries can go above 500. Janis can help you on your specific industry. How does a business demonstrate that funds are applied to support staff? This is probably getting to the question about the requirement by the state that says you have to have supported your employees. I'm not 100% sure because I haven't seen the application yet, is the truthful answer. I would say that if you've continued to pay even though you're closed, if you provided assistance for childcare, if you just paid whatever you could, any kind of genuine effort that you have made as a business owner to support your staff will qualify. They're trying to nail out the specifics still. Another question. Will this presentation be made available? Yeah, sure. We can share this presentation, and we're gonna share the recording of this webinar. Next question. I have not filed taxes for my business, but filed my personal taxes. Will I still qualify? Janis, I think that gets to you and your 2 years of SBA taxes.
Yes. They have pushed back as federal tax deadlines, and so they're reprieving that. So as long as you have filed the two previous years, 17 and 18. They will deal with that on a case-by-case basis. You will still need to provide what you expect your 2019 closure to look like, as well as any year-to-date activity, P&L type information, so that they can see what you were doing in January and February before the disaster declaration and how that impacts you.
Mm-hmm. So you're not alone in that, and they're going to work with you. Any help available for businesses who are in the middle of a Kiva process to start a new business? Finding supporters is becoming very complex. People aren't wanting to help because they're feeling so insecure. The programs we talked about today only apply to businesses that were in business when the executive order or the pandemic really started. So unfortunately, it doesn't apply to people starting a business, though. Our team, the economic development team at the Chamber and the Small Business Development Center, are still available to you as an entrepreneur who's looking to start your business as a resource. So we still want to help you, but these two programs might not apply.
Tyler, real quick, we had a secondary question come in for one of the responses that you already gave to how do businesses demonstrate that the funds are applied to support staff. Okay. So the secondary question is, so do you need to be doing that now or once you receive the funds?
Yeah, the MEDC grant will be prioritized to the companies that have been doing it. So if you're not doing it today, to qualify for the grant, you would have to start. But again, as someone who's trying to help you navigate this uncertain time, if you cannot afford it, don't just go through the hoops just to qualify for the grant. The grant's going to be very competitive, and it's not going to be a whole lot of money. So don't do something just because it's a box to be checked on the grant. If it is something your business has been doing because of the nature of your business or your support for for your employees, do it as long as you can, and those companies will be prioritized. So I hope that answers the question. Next question. In regards to the documents we need to provide, what year do they need to be for? I think that's about the SBA loan, Janis.
Yes, SBA loan is going to go back 2 years, so that would be 17, 18, or 19, depending if you filed your 19 taxes or not. There is a form that you'll fill out if you do not have your taxes in front of you, or you can't find them and they're locked in an office where you're locked out of it. You can just upload those from the IRS site. So they're looking at the last 2 actual operations years, but they recognize not everybody will have filed for 2019.
Yep. This question, what is available for self-employed hairstylists that rent a booth from a salon owner? Again, this is hinting at the executive order that was issued, I think, over the weekend about the closing of salons. If you are self-employed and it's a business, then you will qualify for the MEDC grant. But if you are not organized as a business, unfortunately, these programs would not apply.
And as a self-employed stylist, you would be eligible under SBA as long as you were organized as a business and could show that you lost revenue because of this. Yep. And note that there is a lot of effort being made for self-employed people to open up unemployment. Yeah. And you know, we're waiting to get that information, and we'll funnel it out as we receive it.
Absolutely, and that's part of the fluid situation that we're following every day. Is there a deferment period with the SBA loan? Would be worried about making the first payment is kind of what the question's getting at, Janis.
Yes, there is a built-in deferment. Under normal circumstances, i.e. a hurricane, it would be 4 months. Mm-hmm. Due to the extensive nature of the pandemic, this has been extended by SBA to a 12-month period, and we are waiting for the verbiage on that to see if it's 11 months deferment and the payment's made on the 12th month, or if it's 12-month deferment and the payment is made on the 13th month. But that date is calculated on the date that you sign the loan. let's say you get approved April 15th. You have 6 months before you need to sign that loan. You wouldn't get money until you sign the loan, but then that could also stretch out your time period for payment.
Yeah. I think specifically about deferment is we understand you're going to be worried about making that first loan, or payment. No, it's going to be several months in the future. And then I would recommend working with Janis Mueller and her team to determine when and how exactly to sign the loan to get you the money. This next question is about sending out links. Yeah, absolutely. As soon as we get the application, we will make it available, widely available as best we can. And if you don't have it, if you haven't seen it by tomorrow morning on some type of social media or through an email or something, email me directly and I will get it to you as soon as I get it. My company provides engineering services and has had customers cancel contracts based on the decreased demand. Can these grants or loans be spent on payroll or only other expenses? So you would qualify for the grant through the MEDC because you have experienced a negative impact through the COVID pandemic, and you could use it for payroll. Yes, absolutely. Janis, you want to speak about the SBA one?
Yes, all fixed debts, payrolls, anything that you would have under normal operating circumstances
Can be used. So it is working capital. For the grant, if you are not a 2029 EO company, what do you feel is the best form of documentation to show loss of business? Is it numbers, financials, along with the story, so to speak, etc.? What I would say is if you have documentation of like contracts canceled, events canceled, and can show the costs that has incurred or put on your business, that would do it. But without seeing the application as of this morning, I can't exactly tell you how, but I think it's going to be a little bit of documentation, I think emails and cancellations, along with receipts about what those purchase orders or what the conferences or etc. did cost you. As a landlord with multiple properties, do I qualify? Janis, why don't you answer that for the SBA loan?
Depending on how you have it set up and you are as a business, you might have several businesses. You may set up one building as a full business and then another building as a separate one. You can apply for each business that you're managing. Your documentation and personal loan guarantees are still going to be applied to your personal and individual based on business. So yes, you can apply as long as you are showing that you have been negatively impacted by the COVID-19. Mm-hmm. If you are still demanding rent from all your clients or residents, how are you going to show that? That would be the next phase of questions you'd have to answer.
That's a good point. Okay. How does this work for small businesses that have contracted workers versus employees? Specifically about the grant, that's going to be a question that we got to figure out how the MEDC is going to look at that. If you have 50 or less contracted employees, contracted workers, I don't think there'll be a problem. But if they are not an employee on your payroll, we'll have to figure that out. And but I would say that if you don't have, here's the blunt side of that. If you do not have employees, quote unquote, you do not have employees, you have contractors, then it's going to be hard to show that you supported your employees. And the only reason I say that is because this is going to be a highly competitive grant, and people who do have, W-2 employees are going to be prioritized first. So unfortunately, that's probably the reality.
And the contractors hopefully are set up as individuals and sole proprietorships or LLCs and could apply under economic disaster assistance through the SBA,
yep, as
well as through hopeful self-employed or unemployment insurance.
There you go. That's a great point. Thanks, Janis. How do we apply for the grant? Once the application is available, that will become more clear, and we'll get that out. Are daycare centers included for the grant? If you are a landlord and you if you are a landlord, you are included, but are the daycare centers. I would have to review the executive orders if any of the executive orders specifically outline daycare centers to know if they qualify. But I think that even if they're not specifically outlined, they can likely show that they have been negatively affected by COVID-19. For example, if all the parents of the children who go to the daycare center are all of a sudden working from home and no one's putting their kid in daycare center because of the quarantining, then that would be a way to show that you have been negatively affected, even if you haven't been shut down per se by an executive order. I'm a small business offering boutique yoga services. I have 2 employees whom I pay weekly. Due to the nature of my work, all the upcoming classes and workshops have been canceled. Am I eligible for the grant program? Yes.
Yes.
A child care center in Flint with low enrollment. Is the grant a competitive grant? Do all apply, receive it? Is very competitive. Not everyone who applies will receive a grant. What resources may be available for landlords who empathize with the businesses empathize with the business's owners' challenges? So in other words, their tenants are having challenge. Janis, how do you answer that?
I would show that they're having decreased revenues due to coronavirus and go the SBA working capital route. I would also investigate if you still owe a mortgage or have additional loans on the property that you're doing, that you work with the banks. We are seeing banks going with interest only. We are seeing banks deferring up to 6 months. They recognize that the landlords are doing the socially responsible thing and helping the small businesses. And so therefore they're working with them as well. This is a community-wide effort from the federal government to the state to the EDAs and the chambers, as well as the bankers are on board to help this. Everybody wants to come out of this strong.
If you are a landlord with a mortgage, call your bank is the first step. The second step is apply for a grant or a loan, but I would call your bank to see what you can do to alleviate that monthly cost, especially if your tenants are experiencing some difficulty. Go ahead.
And the banks may be offering zero interest working capital lines as well, based on your history with them and your relationship with them. So always start there.
Does this support barbershops and beauty salons? Yes, to both. And then that was outlined in the most recent executive order from Governor Whitmer for the grant, and it would apply to the SBA. What is the estimated response time for those who are applying for a disaster loan, Janis?
Okay, they figure they should have a yes or a no within 21 days. We're seeing a rapid turnaround on things. However, if you do not have great credit, you may get denied. It doesn't have to be perfect, but they're not telling us a range of credit because it's very fluid and they're changing it. If you have not paid your taxes for 10 years and are on a program, there might be a problem. So you have to be credit worthy to get the SBA loan. After they give you an approval, they expect to have closing documents within 14 days. So you're looking between 35 and 45 days, assuming everything is working perfectly in the system. As you can imagine, there's a lot of stress on the systems right now.
Next question, is an LLC that owns a business considered an LLC that owns a building considered a business? Absolutely. But we know that if you don't have many employees as a building owner or that LLC that owns the business, I think your best chance, again, is going to talk to your bank that has your mortgage and seeing how you can alleviate the monthly demand on cash before you pursue these loans about the supply of cash.
And if you have a 504 or a 7A loan that purchased that you have a mortgage with, they're doing some creative deferment in those as well. So again, talk to your lenders and make sure that everybody's aware of what you're doing.
Small business customer has stopped coming. How do you notify us the application is ready to complete? I will send it out. The chamber will send it out. We're going to put it on our social media. The MEDC will certainly send it out. If you do not hear from us in the next 24 hours with that application, reach out. As a bookkeeper who works only with small businesses, I have been providing P&Ls. I have been providing P&Ls 2017, current and balance sheets. Also filling SBA Form 5, which is the application for the loan, to make sure my clients are ready to apply if they decide to. Is there anything else I should be doing to prepare my clients?
I would say yes, because you've got to find out what's happened in 2020. So you need to make sure that you're getting current information. What is their revenue and expenses per month this year prior to the event, the closure event or the COVID-19 event, because that is how they're going to project what the sales would have been during this time. The SBA loan does not cover the loss of sales, only working capital needed to pay all the expenses necessary to run the business under normal circumstances.
Great point. And I think that's the same for the MEDC grant. Obviously sales and working capital are connected. My taxes are being done right now, so would I have to wait or do apply for the loan? Or would I have to wait to apply for the loan? Excuse me, Janis.
I would apply and let them know that they're in process, and then provide the last year or two that they request.
Okay, I was waiting for inspection to open my store, but it was canceled due to shutdowns from the virus. Will I qualify? I have a kiosk at the mall and it has been shut down. I'm assuming that you are currently a business if you're operating the kiosk right now. And so, yes, you would apply. You would qualify for the state grant, and the same is true for the SBA, right, Janis?
Yes, that would be correct, assuming that they are an active business that work that kiosk. And yep.
What about construction companies and have more 1099 workers, and your company has bad credit? What about construction workers, Janis?
Construction workers, obviously, if they're 1099s, we've already discussed that, if they're set up as their own businesses, they may individually be able to apply as a business. If you're showing that you have lost revenue due to the shutdowns and the changes with COVID-19, you could apply. If you have poor credit and the inability to pay it back based on your financial documentation, it is likely you'll get a denial, which is why we have you start immediately with everyone you owe money to and determine which is the best way to navigate this system. Start working with your banks, start working with your financial institutions to help you navigate the cash flow crunch.
Yep. Regarding the grant, small business retail in Genesee Valley Mall, since we weren't technically shut down by an executive order, what details will be needed to prove how we are negatively affected? Been closed for 6 days now. I know it's going to be weird. It's going to be tough. You are surely going to be negatively affected. I think showing that your tenant or your landlord told you they're going to be shutting the mall down would be a way to demonstrate negative effect by COVID-19. Go ahead.
You could also show negative effect by showing what your day-to-day sales were from March 1 to the date of closure. You're going to see a massive drop in sales. And when you go from, let's say, 5,000 a day to zero, that can show proof that COVID-19 is impacting your business.
Very good. Thank you, Janis. What about small gyms where owners are the only employees? Do we still qualify for the grants? Yeah, you would still qualify for the grant. Janis, what do you say about SBA loans and
yes.
grants? I'm sorry, and
yes,
gyms.
You would still be able to apply for the SBA loan, provided that you are a business that can show you've lost revenue because of COVID. They've been shut down through the executive order at a state level, and so therefore they would qualify.
Yep. Who will be deciding who gets the grant? These will be made on a regional basis, recommended on a regional basis, but ultimately the state of Michigan will be deciding it. We, the chamber, will be collecting all the Genesee County applications. I'm a small business that provides accounting and tax preparation services. I'm unable to provide in-person services. How do I show effects? Janice, any ideas?
I would kind of do a comparison last year to this year, month to month, on number of clients served, number of clients leading up to tax day. Obviously, with the extension on taxes, you're going to have a bigger challenge. People aren't, especially in the Flint and Genesee community, not everybody is 100% computer savvy, so you're going to see that impact of people not being able to do everything virtually. And again, show that you're seeing a decline in the number of customers being served, and therefore your revenues would decline.
Yep. I'm a real estate appraiser, and I expect a drop in appraisals of home purchases. Will I be able to apply for the grants or loans? You'll be able to apply for the grant. It's a very competitive process, and as long as you are organized as a business. Janice?
Yes, as a real estate appraiser or a real estate agent, we expect them to have long-term impacts of this. It's unlikely people are buying houses now. I wouldn't show my house if it was for sale because I don't want strangers in it.
Good point.
You will be able to show the long-term effects of this by waiting to apply for the working capital loan to see how it's going to damage your long-term business.
Mm-hmm.
The SBA loan is open until December 21st, 2020. So you don't have to apply today. You can wait and see.
Yeah. I just bought a bar and grill a month before this happened. How can I get help? Hopefully you have the books of that business that you can show, like Janice said, the drop off between a couple months back and the day it closed, because you are closed by Executive Order 2029. I think just showing the industry, since you're a bar and grill, will qualify you for the grant, actually. So you're gonna be able to apply for the grant pretty easily as a bar and grill.
And if you have a mortgage on that business, talk to the lender immediately, because they are making deferment, and so you need to talk to them.
Yep. Couple more questions here. When will the grant application be made available? I'm expecting it by close of business today, and we will be promoting that out. Stay tuned to Chamber's communication channels. Is there any assistance for businesses in a build-out phase? Meaning you're pre-revenue, I'm guessing. You're going to be able to show you're negatively affected. Janice, what do you say about the SBA working capital loan?
It's going to be a case-by-case basis. I think that I would like to have that person reach out to us, or if they reach out to you, send them over to us, because we may have to talk to an SBA client. If you already show that you're in business and have filed taxes, even with zero revenue, I'm not sure what they can do for working capital, because it's based on the what you have to pay now. So it depends on what your fixed costs are for the pre-build-out phase.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough out there. We are a chocolate business with a product already made for Easter. We will lose revenue. Would the grant help us with this loss? The grant you'll be able to demonstrate negative effect from COVID-19, so the grant will apply. Also, the SBA loan will apply. Correct, Janice?
The SBA loan will apply, but it will not cover lost revenue. So if you say I was going to make $100,000 selling Easter baskets or whatever the product is, they're not going to give you a loan for $100,000. They are going to give you a loan to cover your working capital costs during the down period, which they're estimating at 6 months. So any bills that you would have had to pay during that would be covered.
Yeah. Okay, those are all the questions I see that we've gone through. I hope this meeting was helpful for you. I'm going to kick it back over to Stephen. Stephen?
Thanks, Tyler. I think that information was really great. As you mentioned, we're going to have this up on our YouTube channel and resource page on our website. Look for more of these webinars. Tyler mentioned MI-SBDC stuff coming out by the end of the day. Any opportunity we can to share this with you in this format, especially with the live Q&A, will be really valuable. Tyler, Janis, anything before we go?
Yes, I would like people to go to the Michigan SBDC.org website, MI-SBDC.org website. There's plenty of information on unemployment, on the SBA loans, and other opportunities that as we're getting them. We're updating the COVID-19 banner on an hourly basis.
Say that again, Janis.
MI-SBDC.org website, and pay attention to the COVID-19 banner. That's where all information on loans, grants, and other resources are being uploaded daily, hourly.
Okay. That's all.
Fantastic.
I would just say, I think like the advice we said here is think about your business. What can you do? Who can you work with to reduce the need for capital right now during this time? Calling your utilities, calling your banks, anything you can do to reduce those costs in the meantime, and then also apply for the grants and apply for the loans. It doesn't hurt you to take a chance at it.
Right. Thanks again, Tyler, Janis.
Stephen, real quick before we wrap up, we had a couple of questions come through at the last minute, so we're working with our marketing team to get the Q&A up on the website, and we will address these on the website as well. So if you sent through a last minute question, look at the resource page later today for a response.
Okay.
Great. That's all for now. Again, look for our next webinar. We'll get that blasted out to you in upcoming emails, Facebook. See you all soon. Thanks.
Take care, everyone.